How's it going, everyone? This is Ken from Pixelated Thoughts, and in this video, we're going to talk about Hollowbody. This is going to be a relatively short video. I'm going to try to keep it under 10 minutes, and that is because this game is really short. We are talking roughly 4 to 5 hours, but I think what's here is really good. But I will say, I believe that the first half of the game is better than the second half, and that's primarily because the setup in the first half is really strong. And then I think that it just kind of goes and ends certain sections in the second half. It feels kind of abrupt when you get to that end. It was a little bit dissatisfying, but overall I had a really good time with this game. And I like the fact that for a game this short, there is a good amount of replayability because there are different unlocks such as big head mode and first person mode. And also there's multiple difficulties and multiple endings. So let's have a brief discussion about Hollowbody and why I believe that it's well worth the $15. To start, I believe that Hollowbody really nails its atmosphere. It is absolutely fantastic. It's probably the best part of the game. You're going to notice almost immediately just how creepy and unsettling this game is, regardless of the environment you find yourself in. I think everything in that regard is well done. It is appropriately dark. It is gloomy. It is raining. I think that overall, when I was exploring the different environments found here in Hollowbody, I was having an amazing time. Now, when it comes to the sound design, I think that it's equally impressive, especially because this is a one-man show. But I also believe that it's kind of hit or miss. There were a number of moments where I really felt like I should have heard this monster or this enemy by turning the corner, but you'd hear them late. And it kind of ends up in these like really wild jump scares. I was down in the subway section of this game and I was just rotating around a corner and one of the stronger enemies just like randomly appeared. It scared the absolute hell out of me. And I found this odd because for the most part, when you see an enemy or you're nearby, you will hear like some type of auditory cue that will give you at least an idea of where their location is, because you'll then go into the same section and just behind a door, there's an enemy screaming. So I really feel like that was kind of frustrating because I felt like in these types of games, while I understand that maybe you want to raise tension by having everything be so silent, but if you're going to have enemies be kind of loud when they're screaming before in the earlier sections, I think consistency is required. But overall, I thought the sound design was pretty good. When it comes to the narrative, I think that it's just okay. I think that it doesn't do a good enough job of getting you to really care for the main characters, which I thought was kind of a missed opportunity because you don't know anything about them. There's nothing that really connects the plot together. It's that Sasha goes missing at the beginning. There's this accident at her work site. And then afterwards, you as Mika are going in and then you're trying to save her. I think that it's as straightforward as possible, but we don't get to know enough about Mika. And we don't get to know enough about Sasha, but we just know that she's just trying to get from point A to point B. I think the environmental storytelling is fantastic. The echoes that you get to unlock in this game are really well done, and they drive home the point that the government completely failed the people of this area. And it was really tragic because you get to see like the echoes of different people trying to get on trains and trying to escape, them getting murdered by the government, them being starved out, pretty much being left there to die. It's really well done, and I feel like the telephone conversations between Mika and the unknown source, is what I'm going to call it, are really well done as well. But I really feel like if they had just gone an extra mile of trying to get us to connect with Mika and Sasha, I think this would have been a more impactful narrative, but they never get there. When it comes to the gameplay, I really feel like your tolerance is going to matter. If you are a fan of PS2 style horror games, if you love those types of throwbacks, this game nails it in that regard. I like the fact that there's just enough modern controls here to where I was having a really good time. I like the fact that you had a quick turn, you were able to quickly select your weapons, and I like the fact that the map was readily available. I think all of that was really well done here. It's very simplistic, so do not expect any real nuance or subtlety. You're not going to get that here. So if you're expecting a very straightforward survival horror experience, you're going to love Hollowbody. I think that the puzzles in this game, particularly in the beginning, are creative and they're just a lot of fun to work through. You really do have to think, and be a bit creative with your thought process when you're going through some of these puzzles, because if you're not, especially early on, you're going to find yourself getting stuck. I do feel though that at the end, it does take a bit of a dip in terms of quality, because I found myself going through puzzles and seeing that they were just really easy to figure out. And I was wondering why that was, because at the apartment, which is the first section of the game, you have to actually apply some critical thinking. And I was just a bit disappointed in that when I got to the second half. And this just kind of confirms what I had said at the beginning, where I felt like the first half of the game was really good and the second half was just okay. I feel like for whatever reason, it just became too straightforward near the end. And it is a true survival horror experience. Ammo is limited. Enemies are very tanky. But here's the thing that I want to bring up, and I think it's why my overall grade on this game is not as high as others. You can just kind of walk around almost every enemy. And especially when you get to these open sections, you're going to notice that it's just really easy to get around. You are not going to struggle at all in avoiding enemies. And there's some AI issues too, where like enemies will just kind of run past you, and once you get past a certain point, they just don't even like know you're there, which I thought was really funny with some of the dogs. But I do think that this is ultimately going to be to your benefit, because you're able to maneuver around the AI a lot easier, especially in those wide open areas. And I believe that this is going to help you in your pursuit for those hidden endings on higher difficulties. Overall, I think Hollowbody is well worth the price of admission. I think that this is a solid game, especially for those of us who are survival horror enthusiasts and are looking for those throwback titles. So if you are a fan of Crow Country and you really like that PS1 style aesthetic, I really think that Hollowbody is going to satiate you with that PS2 Xbox style. I really like this game. I just felt like there were certain missteps that prevented me from loving it, but I can recommend it at its price point to anyone. But let me know what you think in the comments, because that is going to do it for this video. If you happen to like the content, please consider sharing, and subscribing. I am Ken from Pixelated Thoughts, and I'll talk to you next time.